It's only going to take an instant for your life to change. So much is going on. So much is happening. And today we want to take the time and just minister to you. So God bless you, Brianna. God bless you, Jamila. All of you that are coming on this morning, if you will, take a moment and share this broadcast on pages that you're part of. This is a great message today. I'm excited for you and all your support and all that you say. We can't hear you. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hopefully you can hear me. If you can hear me, let me know. I think you can. All right. Thank you, Jamila. So God bless all of you. Good morning. Happy Sunday. This is the last day before March. And we're already moving along so quickly. So I want to give time to build the audience. Today's message is a great one. It only takes an instant for your life to change. And I want to share a story with you today that I think will really bless you. Because many of us, if we be honest, we're struggling with life. We're struggling with things that are happening. We look at our life. Some of you may have found yourself looking at life and going, wow, how did I get here? You know, what happened that brought me to this point in life to where, you know, I feel like I'm losing out. And so I want to get ready to share with you this message. It's a powerful one, and it's going to really give you something to think about. All right. I'm all about mental thinking and really open up your understanding. And I just want to share this with you today. So if you will, share it. I'm excited. Some of you may have seen my wife's new trailer for her new show that's coming out March 19th, Marry Me Now. It's a different twist on marriage, but I definitely want you to watch it because she gives some great insight and life skills to women that are looking to get married and been getting strung along. And so I'm not going to say too much about it, but the trailer is out. We can announce it's on the OWN network March the 19th at 9 p.m. And so congratulations to you, Rebecca. We love you much. And girl, keep doing your thing. All right, Abundant Life Nation, I want to pray, and then I want to take you to a video, and then we're going to get ready for the word today. God, I glorify you for the Abundant Life Nation. I thank you for this message today. And I bless you, God, for those that are going to join us live and those that will watch it in replay. And I pray that this message will lay a thought on our minds today and our hearts that life can change in an instant. And so we can't take anything for granted. We can't keep procrastinating and putting things on hold. But we must live life to the fullest, not just some days, but every single day you give us breath on this earth. Now, God bless the Abundant Life Nation, that we continue to grow in numbers and that we unify even the more to combat ignorance in the world and to bring spiritualism to everyone that needs it. God bless this message today, we pray. Amen. Well, God bless you guys. Enjoy this message. I'll be right back. You know, in life, all of us will find ourselves at some point or another at a crossroad. A crossroad of decisions of whether I go backwards to what I know I'm comfortable with, or I press forward to places unknown. But see, I want you to know that today God has great things in store for you if you can simply trust the process. As you're sipping your coffee, reading your newspaper, maybe even looking over social media, I want you to know that what you're going through right now is simply a test. That's all it is, only a test. And God is trying to purge you of all the things that have served his purpose. So, Carrie, what are you telling me I need to do today? I'm saying you need to trust the process. As you go about your day, trust the process. Now, where you are, if you will, lift your hands and repeat after me. Say, God, This day, I'm going to release all of that in my life that has served its purpose. And I lift my hands and I trust you, God, that you will get me through to the promise. Today, God, as I lift my hands in surrenderance, teach me, oh God, how to trust the process. This I pray in your son Jesus' name. Amen. How many of you are going to trust God? Trust the processes of what God is doing. So many great things that God is giving. And I want you to always remember to trust him. All right. So just a few quick announcements. Again, those of you who have not become part of this channel, please go down right now, hit that subscription button and that notification bell. So when I go live, you will get Mr. Pope. All right. Great content that we're giving you. Getting ready to do a lot of stuff on relationships and Carrie's Corner. That's what it's called. Carrie's Corner, where we answer a lot of relationship questions and direct topics that people are running from. And so I want to make sure that we address those. And if you have anything that you would like me to discuss on Carrie's Corner, email me at hello@carrie8pope.com. And I will make sure that I'll get some content together for you. Some great things that people have shared with me already they would love for me to talk about. Are you a father or are you a donor? Yeah, stuff like that. You know, you got a lot of donors that are not fathers. And then you got a lot of people, a lot of men that want to be fathers, but mothers won't let them be due to the falling out between each other. So that's some of the contents, just scraping the surface of some things we're going to talk about. All right, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Also, if you have not, if you have not became part of our dating and masterclass, we have e-courses that are out right now that you can get. And you can make sure to join. All right, the content, the link for the content is in the description. Also, the Work Masterclass, Rebecca and I did this in 2020. It is phenomenal. People are blessed by it. So many have said it was the Work Masterclass that showed me how to get back to living my life. And right now I am finishing, and I said we should have this up within the next 2 weeks, the Soul Work Divorce Masterclass. It is phenomenal, and I want to make sure that you get it. All right. So stay tuned for that. This is for divorce and relationship breakups. Many people have tried to go into new relationships and they have not done the work to heal. And so this message today, this class and this course is going to address those issues to help you get your soul back so that you can love again. All right. So let's get into today's message. Today's message is titled, "It Only Takes," oh my goodness, a second. Do y'all see that? It only takes a second. Only takes a second. Only takes a second for your life to change. So guys, let's talk about it. Life is short. And if we enjoy every moment of every day, then we will be happy no matter what happens or what changes come our way. Right now, we can see the world at craziness with the, hey, Eugene, God bless you, my brother. With the war with Russia is going into Ukraine, the threats of cyber attacks upon America and other countries. And then we really don't know what's going on, but something is in the air. And we want to make sure that we are ready, because your life can change at an instant. You never know if something was to happen over here and somebody sends a missile this way. Somebody gets crazy and underminingly does something within the country. You know, we've seen the movie, somebody said, well, it's just Hollywood, but how much is really Hollywood when we saw, Angel has fallen, London has fallen, Olympias has fallen, and how things were done within the country to sabotage the country. We saw on January the 6th last year, what took place at the White House and even in here in Atlanta and various capitals on lockdown due to a riot because people are changing. And so many of us are going through life. Okay, let's be honest. We're going through life and we're stressing and straining over things that we have no control over. I love the Lord's prayer, but I love more than anything the prayer of serenity. Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. And when we think about life and when we think about all of the things that we're going through, I want to ask you a question. Is it worth it? If you were to really stop, because I'm going to share a story with you about this young man who was facing this same question. And I'm going to look down at my reading material in front of me because I want to give you this story and I want you to really listen. Because when God gave it to me, I was at a point in my life where, I had to make some decisions. I had to make some choices in my life of how I am going to live. God has blessed me to live to see 53. And if I make it to August, I'll be 54. My father passed at 53. My grandfather passed at 51 or 52. I have hosts of uncles and people that have passed. Just the other day, I saw where a 19-year-old was being buried, died suddenly. Just yesterday, I got word about a good friend of mine that I knew from some years back, an apostle who died from being sick. Just so much is going on. And if I could be honest, how many of you right now, the stuff that you're dealing with, the things that you're going through, it's worth your life? What shall it profit a man if he gained the whole world and lose his soul, according to Mark 8:36? What would it prosper you to gain the whole world, but lose your identity? So let me read this to you. I want you to listen very carefully. I want you to also, how we do it. I want you to respond to me. I want you to write in the text box. If you're watching the replay, write it in the body of the text because I want to hear from you throughout this message. All right, here we go. It was just another day at work. Hard work, no vacation, deals to make and money to make. And I felt like I had control over my life. And on my side, sometimes I felt I got lucky. Today was different from any other day. It was a day when things changed without my permission. While working on a project deadline, I suddenly felt dizzy. 5 minutes into a break from work, I woke up to the doctors and nurses working on me. As I spoke to them, my mind was speaking. My lips could not move. And I asked them, what are they doing to me? But no one could hear my questions. They could not hear me because I was in a self-induced coma. After a day or two of being in this coma, I awoke to a voice of the doctor trying to tell me his name. And as I came out of my coma, I heard him introduce himself as Dr. Mathis. And as soon as I opened my eyes, he smiled. He said, Jim, you passed out at work the other day, and you have been in a coma for the last 2 days. Feeling well, I could not fathom being in this condition that I now found myself in. My life was forever changed by what he shared next with me. And I want you guys to hear this. It took a toll on me in ways that I could never imagine. His words. I allowed my circumstances around my life to control me for so many years. Dr. Mathis looked at me with a serious face. And he said, Jim, you only have 2 weeks to live. Could you imagine life as you've always carried yourself? And then while you go on a break, you think you're just doing your typical thing, only to awaken in the hospital, only to awaken after being there for days in a coma because you passed out. And they had to put you into a self-induced coma in order to get your brain to shrink back down, simply because you have allowed life to take its toll on you and you were dying inside. How many of you right now can say, Carrie, I don't want this type of sudden news that all of a sudden the doctor tells me, get your affairs in order. Because there's so many things I want to do. There's so many things I want to accomplish, right? When I was doing this message, I was at a very low point in my life, and I began to say, you know what? I am not ready to die. I wanted to die because I was hurting so bad, had thoughts of suicide. See, I could be honest about this thing. But I didn't want to kill myself because I thought about my children and my family and those that needed me, right? But you know the one person I did not think about that needed me the most? Me. And so just like Jim, how many of you are going about your life and you're doing so much, but you have yet to stop and realize that the most important person in this world It's not your mama, not your daddy, not your spouse, it's not your children, but it's you. My. Hey, Ashley, how you doing? And so I want us to understand when you get into a certain age, cancer can come in. You can start getting mentally sick. You can mess around here, and the stress and strains of life that you're going through is affecting you in ways that you have yet to see. But just as sure as my name is Carrie, one day it's going to show its ugly head. That's why you got to get busy living, or as 50 Cent said, die trying. But Jim only has 2 weeks. I'm speechless, he said. 2 weeks, 14 days, 336 hours, 20,160 minutes, 1,209,600 seconds. It didn't matter how Jim twisted it or turned it to try to make it look like it was a lot. It still equated to just simply 2 weeks. I was not going to live long. It finally sank into Jim. And when you know when you're going to die, life has a whole new meaning. So right now, those of you that are watching me, if I said to you at this very time, which is at 10:24, February the 28th, I say to you, you only have, Brianna, 2 weeks. Eugene, I'm sorry, 2 weeks. Ashley, 2 weeks. If I say that to you, with the issues of life that you're currently facing, stressing over bills, stressing over relationship, stressing over people, stressing over jobs, would that matter anymore? Stop and think about it. If you realize you only have 2 weeks left to live, would you be tripping on what you're tripping about right now? Would you be tripping about people that don't like you? Would you be tripping about people that really never liked you? Everything takes on a whole new perspective when you only have 2 weeks. Life has suddenly become less important than I once thought it would be. Arguments that once seemed unavoidable, no longer matter. You know how you have these arguments that you just feel like you got to get your point across. You just got to get them told. You just got to straighten them out. When you have 2 weeks to live, you realize that they're not important anymore. Those who disliked the ground that Jim walked on no longer bothered him. Fighting over who was right and who was wrong didn't matter anymore because, as Jim said, I only have 2 weeks. Jim, I don't like you. I only have 2 weeks. You didn't speak to me the other day when you saw me. I only have 2 weeks. Oh, since you got that new promotion, you think you better than all of us. 2 weeks. Oh, since you got married, you don't have time for us anymore. You changed. 2 weeks. You know, Rebecca and I do a lot of work through social media, right? And I read some of the comments that people leave. Yesterday, this one particular apostle that I talked about that passed, you know, the children made us post about, you know, on his behalf, we thank you for all of your prayers and support, and that he has transitioned on, and they was doing a thing to help the family financially. And as I began to read the comments of people saying, my deepest condolences, I'm so sorry about the loss of your father. You know, somebody said, well, why don't you set up a girlfriend GoFundMe for all the girlfriends? And I got so upset because people will speak about your fallen things in life and things that you've done in life rather than give. See, in other words, this chick, whoever she was basically being a, you know what, 3-letter word, starts with an A, end with an S. You fill in the middle one. That's what she was being at a time where people are giving their condolences. She's being a straight up ass about it. And she's going to say, are you going to set up a girlfriend? First of all, people on social media are so ignorant, and we call them trolls, that they sit behind a little keyboard and they throw these little remarks out. So it says, what if he was dying on her behalf and went to visit her and pray for her, but all of a sudden now in his death, she's mad because she didn't get what she wants. Instead of giving her condolences, instead of being someone that's saying, I'm so sorry for your loss, she shows her backside. See, in other words, really, there are 5 people in your life that will love you the most, and the rest or just spectators. As I talked last week about Jesus, he had friends. So many of you have friends, which are fans and friends, but people that you're dying for. If you only have 2 weeks, would you really die for them? The people on your job that you're trying to prove that you're worthy of the raise and worthy of the promotion. Would you go out of your way and work these nights and going out of your way and missing family time for these people? I'll wait. Because you know what? When we stop and really think about it, life is too short to sit here and lose another second over ignorant people who won't even put a penny to your burial. Y'all don't want to hear me this morning. I'll say it again. It is time out for you dying for people that won't even give you a crumb off their table. It is time out for you dying for people that won't even help you when you're at your lowest. I remember times when I was pastoring and I was at my lowest. And I remember, still preaching, having lost so much weight, still preaching, having lost my hair. Still preaching, trying to give what thus said the Lord to people. Still preaching, trying to help others. Couldn't take a break because the bills of the church were on my shoulders. Couldn't take a break because people wouldn't come to the church to hear my mother preach or others because they wanted to hear me. Couldn't take a break because I felt like if I took one, everything around me would crumble, right? But I was crumbling. Some of you right now listening, this is hitting home to you because you're doing so much for those people around you. But would they do that for you? Would they even bring you a bowl of soup or even send you a thank you card? This morning, and I won't call her name out, but as I was getting this message together, God says, Carrie, there are ones whose life you have touched over the years that still appreciate you. And, I've heard so many stories about people dogging me out and saying, Carrie, we don't like you and you changed and da-da-da-da-da. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, yes, I did change. I changed in order to start living versus dying. See, you can't worry about people that's going to say, oh, you changed. Jim changed, but the change was not for the people. Jim changed by dying and realizing that I only have 2 weeks. I only have 2 weeks to live. 2 weeks, 14 days. And so with that being said, Jim began to reminisce about all the people. Eugene said, I hear you loud and clear. Jamila said, I hear you, sir. Brianna, only select people matters. I want y'all to hear me. Those in replay watching this, you must stop dying for people that were not worth living for. Somebody said, what did you say? See, I'm not Jesus. I'm Carrie. Jesus died for you all, not me. Carrie's going to choose to live. And I began to understand children will grow up and start their own lives. Friends will move or die. Church people would, when I dissolved the church, will go on and find other pastors. The young lady this morning sent me $100 love offering just out of the blue. And I looked at my phone and said, what? And she said, please call me. I'll explain why I sent you this. So I called her and she said, Apostle, I am forever grateful for the words you spoke into my life and my family's life years ago. And she began to go on and talk about a situation with the son and how he was at his lowest and then God worked it out. And she said, the man of God told me, and I remember the day he prophesied to me, that God will forever watch over me, my children, and my children's children. And no matter what happens, we're going to always come out on top. She says, man of God, I told it to my husband, I told it to my children, and we are living under the prophecy and the promises of God spoken through you. Why is this important? Because I thought about the 10 lepers that Jesus healed. 10 lepers that were dying. They all went away after they got healed, but only one came back to say thank you. What does that mean? Everybody's not going to be appreciative of you and your deeds towards them. I hope somebody's hearing me this morning. And so you got to learn to start living for yourself, because if you do not, you will suffer the consequences. So let's get back to this message. Jim now has lived. He had 12 days. He had 2 weeks, 14 days. He's now had 10 of those days pass. 10 days have passed and time is running out. And it is hard to believe that there are still so many things that I have to accomplish See, even in Jim's dying, Jim is looking at all the things he has not accomplished, right? Versus going, you know what? It's not important. Now that I only have 4 days left to live, I realize that I wasted my whole life on false hopes and false dreams. Do you hear me this morning? Jim said, now that I only have 4 days left to live, he's having an epiphany. He's starting to understand that me doing all these things, I have not lived. But I have chased after and wasted my whole life on false hopes and false dreams. Does that sound like you this morning? That you've been holding out hope that people will change. You've been holding out hope that they'll see your worth and your value. You've been holding out hope that they'll appreciate you for the person that you are and all the things that you've done. Listen to me. It won't happen. And to be honest with you, if you only have 4 days left to live, it doesn't matter. Oh, come on, somebody. Who am I talking to this morning? You just sat this mother and said, Apostle, they don't appreciate me. The things I do, the love I show, the things I give. This message is for you. They won't ever appreciate it because they're users. And users look for more ways to use you. Somebody don't hear me this morning. Users. Rick James said, use and abuse them. That was my name to fame. He would take his time to look out for victims that he could use and abuse. That's what people do when you have a big heart. I need to talk to all my big-hearted people right now. You will get used by people who are looking for users. And users are those who get used by people. Users look for people with big hearts like ourselves, and they will use you. My goodness. And so now Jim said, I wasted my whole life. It wasn't worth it. Is my life wasted because I never opened the scroll that was in my hand at birth, titled to my destiny? Can you explain what that means? Jim began to look at life, because when you're dying, and I remember my auntie, when she was passing, she looked at life totally different. She began to share some things with me. And a lot of times when you grow in life, people look at you and say, you'll make a great preacher. I used to say, in my case, a preacher. So I began to be a minister, then I became an evangelist, then I became a pastor, and I became a prophet, and I became an apostle. I went through the whole fivefold ministry. And people have this expectation of me to be this anointed man of God, to never sin, to be perfect in the eyes of God, to always sanctify God in the eyes of the people, right? And so my life began to become what they wanted it to be. I had to look right, I had to speak right, I had to talk right. I couldn't let my true light shine because I had to dim it because people were used to seeing my light in a certain parameter. And I began to realize I'm dying and have never opened my hands to see my birthright that God has given me. Okay, my birthright. Y'all, hold on one second. I got my dog upstairs who's driving me crazy. I'm trying to preach to you, and all I hear is a whole bunch of running and hopping. So forgive me, and I'm trying to focus. God, I want to give you this message. Please help me for a second. I am so sorry. Oh my God, forgive me. Because I'm trying to preach, and all I hear is barking and hollering. And then I have two dogs that are having a fun day today. They must be getting happy off the message. Robert said, you got to find your tribe and drop the users where you found them. That's it, Robert. And so I began to have my auntie speak to me, and she was going to tell me that, Carrie, we're all born with a birthright, meaning your purpose, things that you are that are given to you, that you're entitled to. But many times we give our birthright up for the expectation and the pleasing of people. In other words, you're not being authentic. You're doing what's expected to be accepted. You're doing what's expected of you to be deemed validated. All right. For validation of being validated. And so when I began to understand that, and I got in my 50s, I had to do, listen, when I met Rebecca, I had to do some work. I had to do some work on Carrie, because for years I was the apostle. I was the man of God. People looked up to me to prophesy. But no, when I met her, I didn't let her see any of that side. I wanted her to see Carrie, the man. And so I had to start going to my therapist, doing my personal work, doing my own work masterclass. That's how we came up with the course. And I began to allow Carrie to live. I allowed Carrie to be. And what I found, and I want you to hear me very carefully, is when Carrie started changing, because in an instant your life can change, people that I was dying for wrote me off. People that had me on this pedestal kicked the pedestal and it came down. People that I thought that I was purposeful living for and doing things to be a blessing were no longer around. And then it became crystal clear. This is how Jesus lived. A loner. Y'all don't hear me this morning. How many of you right now could be honest and say, Carrie, I'm truly being authentically me? Because if you're being authentically you, then you're going to have some enemies that used to like you as friends now become your enemy because they say, I believed in you. No, you should have believed in the God in me, because I'm at any moment I'm subject to change. And if I'm not being authentic, then I'm being a hypocrite. Somebody don't hear me this morning. When you can be honest about this thing, when I began to be authentic, I began to become happy. I began to develop thick skin. I began to do things that made me happy and didn't care if you didn't like it. Why? Because if I'm not sinning, if I'm not out here breaking the laws, then if I'm not living up to your expectations, you're not God. And as long as I was at peace, Jim didn't get this revelation when he had his birthright in his hand. Jim began to give his birthright away for a bowl of porridge, meaning acceptance. Can somebody say, man, you're preaching pretty good? And so it is true that I chased after things that brought self-gratification, but no spiritual edification. I'll say it again. Like Jim, I found myself chasing after self-gratification instead of spiritual edification. Oh, no, don't get me wrong. I was doing religious things, but I wasn't getting spiritual gratification because I was not pleasing Carrie. See, somebody don't hear me this morning. When you find yourself doing things to make everybody else happy, you're not being happy or authentic to yourself. And so when Jim began to realize I'm dying and I never lived because I gave all of my life and all of my deeds to be accepted, I was chasing self-gratification, the titles, the degrees. I was accepting to be, on this platform. I wanted to have this title in front of my name. At the end of the day, when you die, your birth certificate will not have your title, nor will your death certificate. When you die, your death certificate will have just your single name, not a doctor, not a professor, not an apostle, not a judge, but just simply your name. Does anybody hear me this morning? I'm trying to help you because you cannot sleep. He said, I cannot sleep because I can hear the words of the times. I can hear the hands of time ticking. Jim said, I couldn't sleep because I know I've wasted all of my time. Having reached day 13 of his 14 days, he was wondering, why did he live his life and waste it with foolishness, chasing foolishness? Having reached day 13, Jim said, I am less than 24 hours away from letting go of what I'm known as life. Now I'm facing eternal life. There is so much I want to say, so much I want to do, but I have ran out of time. Jim began to remember a sermon that said, the pastor said, we must be ready for when that day and time comes. And I thought I would have more time because, I'm young, I'm healthy, nothing wrong with me. I'm talking to somebody this morning. But Jim began to remember the preacher said, like water spilled on the ground, which cannot be recovered, so we must die. When you spill water, you can't recover it. You can't get it back. That's how life is. And if you've spilt your life on things that were foolish, things that were self-gratifying, things that were making people validate you, then you have wasted the water of life. And it's now time to die. Eugene said, that sounds like the content creator who resonated with me. They're authentic and transparent, and they have haters. Some of them told stories of how their friends acted after they got married. Yes. People change, and you can't do a thing about it. And if you have spent your life like Jim, let me refresh my screen again. If you spent your life like Jim, pleasing people, wasting your life, wasting the water, and when that 2 weeks time comes, that now is just days away, hours away, I promise you, you'll be upset with yourself. Wow. Jim said, I remember the preacher telling me, for we must all stand before the judgment seat of Christ to receive what is due to us for what we did while in the body, whether good or bad. In other words, could you imagine hearing the Creator say, now you knew they didn't like you, but you kept on dealing with them anyway. You knew that they were not good for you, but you stayed with them and knew that they was doing you wrong and treating you wrong and lying and out here doing anything. You stayed with them because you was looking at potential rather than reality. You stayed with them. You stayed with that job because you said, I need the money. But really you were chasing fame. You were chasing recognition, and you were chasing that raise or that promotion. You stayed with the church that was dead because you liked the preacher and didn't want to be considered a church hopper. You stayed with a belief that you knew was not true because everybody was saying it, and you now know the truth but don't want to accept it because it puts you in the front seat of persecution. You stayed. You made a choice. And could you imagine God looking at you saying, now you must pay for that choice that you made? Where are those people at now that you made that choice for? Where are those people at now that you died for? Where are they? Lord, Jim said, I need more time. Having spent 98% of his life chasing after nothing, I now wish I had more time to appreciate the small things in life, like air, like walking, like sitting on the front porch and just listening to the birds chirp, like feeling the breeze blow through my hair, like a quick chill from the morning. The small things. I now wish I had more time to appreciate life. What a fool I was to gain this whole world. But it means nothing now because I don't have any time left. Having just 5 hours left. Jim regrets spending time trying to please people. It was as if he was a chameleon changing into what would fit and people accept it. Some of you right now are like a chameleon. You walk into the scene, you change to fit in. You go places and you change to fit in. It's like putting a circle in a square peg. Putting a round ball in a square peg. It's okay to be you. Can I be honest with you? In life, you're really only going to have 2, maybe 3 true friends. In life, you're going to realize that those true friends will love you good, bad, and indifferent. In life, you'll begin to understand that people pleasing is self-taught to you, or taught to you, through traditionals passed down. You don't want your good evil spoken of. I don't want my good evil spoken. I remember that being said to me. You don't want your good to be evil spoken of, so make sure you do things that are acceptable. Wait a minute, who's judging? Because if somebody doesn't like you in the first place, I don't care how much good you do, it would never be accepted. What are you saying, Carrie? Enough with people pleasing. Enough with trying to stroke people's egos or have them stroke yours. No, baby, stroke your own. Enough with it. I don't know who I'm talking to today, but you need to say, wait a minute, I don't need your validation. I'm going to validate myself. Because if you spend your life trying to be a people pleaser, when you die, those same people are going to come to your funeral. They're going to make sure you are dead. And they're going to talk about how you look. I didn't like that suit she had on. I don't like the dress she wore. I don't like the outfit he had. He didn't look himself. Yeah. People don't care. But those 3 friends, the ones that truly are worth dying for, well, you don't care what you look at because they're thinking about all their times with you and they won't have any more. If I could just turn back the hands of time and hear my dad sing again, sing with him, because we sang in a gospel group for years. If I could just do one more concert with him, if my mom can come back and we just sit down and laugh over nothing, ride around in the car with the top down and watch her little head bobbing in the wind. If I could turn back the hands of time, but I can't. See, I want you to understand something. This message is a warning that you're dying. It is a warning that your life will come to an end. Will you have 2 weeks? Who knows? Will you have a few hours? Who knows? Nobody woke up this morning expecting to die, but they will. But if you can hear me this morning, if you can just say, Carrie, I hear you. I need you to start living for you. I need you to start doing the things that makes you happy. Bump the people that don't like if you want to wear orange, wear it. If you want to cut your hair off, except for Rebecca, do it. Cause she ain't doing that. If you want to run outside and go on a trip and see the world, go. Because people will tell you, you need to be saving for the rainy day. You need to be saving your money, right? Now I'm going to give you some knowledge. I want you to hear me now. I'm not against 401k plans at all. I'm not against having a savings account. People say that's wise because you're going to get older, right? I get it. But if you're saving all of your money and all of your time to when you get older and not taking vacations and not relaxing and not woosawing, what's going to happen is you're not going to get to see that money. You're not going to get to see that time because you're going to die. Because you didn't take the necessary breaks to rejuvenate. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. What does that simply mean? They that wait upon the Lord, meaning they that take time, take a break and allow God to replenish them and to renew them. Those that understand that I'm taking a vacation. And listen, I'm going to say something that's going to sound very cruel, but I meant it and you'll get it if you understand it. I used to say to the church, listen, I'm going on vacation. I'm going to take me a couple of days. And if you get sick, if you feel like you're about to die, don't call me. And they looked at me and said, how dare you? I said, why? What can I do if that happens? I remember when they told Jesus, that Lazarus is dying and Jesus stayed where he was. Because Jesus leaving immediately was only to go and please them to say, hey, he means something, but Jesus stayed there. Sometimes God will speak to you and tell you to stay where you are because there's nothing you can do when you get there and you cannot find yourself in the same space. Watch this here. Some people are in a mental condition to where they cannot take one more thing. And how are you going to let somebody make you take one more thing when you know you can't take one more thing? So you become a people pleaser and go somewhere just to appease the people. But now you seeing this is that straw that broke the camel's back and now you can't recover. What are you saying, Carrie? You better put your mask on first before assisting others. You better make sure that you're taking care of, number one, you before you try to take care of everybody else. Who cares if you didn't make it? Who cares if you didn't show up when they expected you? If people really knew the condition that you were in, they may be glad that you even made it to see another day. Who am I talking to? You got to stop jumping through hoops for people. You got to stop going to the circles of people pleasing and being the main act that people come to see. It is time for you to live, because if you find yourself like Jim, being a people pleaser, mentally now rehearsing, reminiscing all the things that he's done that he knew he shouldn't have been doing, but he did it just so people wouldn't say something. Where are they at now? With COVID, if you go in the hospital, some are going and dying by themselves. Even the family members can't go with them. So imagine you being around people and you're dying, and nobody that all these years of living, they can't come and hold your hand when you're dying. Carrie, what are you saying? I'm saying you came in this world by yourself. You're going to leave by yourself, and you better make sure you do the things necessary that you can say, like Paul said, I fought a good fight. I've lived this life. I'm happy to go. I'm ready to be offered. I am ready for death to take me because I have lived. Many of you right now are afraid of dying because you have yet to live. And this message is running all over you, left and right, upside down. It is making you just cringe, because you know, if right now the doctor told you that you're going to die this time next week, that you've wasted your time on foolishness. Bible tells us, and I'll get back to the point I made about savings and storage, right? And putting things up for a rainy day. The Lord's Prayer, we pray it, right? Within the Lord's Prayer, it says, give us this day our daily bread. Right? And if forgive us our debts, we forgive our debtors, or forgive our trespasses, we forgive those who trespass against us, right? But let's go back to give me this day my daily bread. One of the reasons why that is so powerful is so many people have put their money up in savings and put their money up and stash your vacation days, and you kept going and burning out and burning out and burning out. And you didn't allow God to give you daily bread because you took the daily bread and stored it for a rainy day. And so if the Bible says to us, and we use that as a motto, give us our daily bread, that means that every day I open my eyes, this day and this day only, give me bread for this day. In other words, give me what I need to survive this day. And guess what? If he gives me what I need to survive this day, then every day of my life, he will make sure I never run out of bread. Many people are not taking vacations like Jim. Many people are working past an hour, burning the midnight oil and working past their body limits to please people. And they now didn't realize that the daily bread that God gave them, that they put in savings, is now going to be enjoyed or even fought over by the children or the kin folks that you died for. It's nothing like death to bring out hatred of, the Bible said that the love of money is the root of all evil, right? Let somebody live their whole life and have a little bit of savings or a little bit of a pension plan or insurance, and you die. People will fight over it. Families have fallen out over a little piece of money, a little piece of land, a little piece of jewelry. Is it really worth it? I could buy my own jewelry. I could get my own land. When my father and mother passed, I didn't take a penny. Because you know why? I had my own. Now, I know people say, well, the Bible said leave an inheritance for your generations and your generations. Well, first of all, my inheritance that I'm laying up for them is knowledge. That is the greatest inheritance that you can leave your children, your children's children. Knowledge of how to live in this crazy world. Knowledge how to survive and be better than you were by not making the same mistake. Somebody don't hear me this morning. Knowledge. That is the greatest inheritance that you can leave your children. Not your money, not your land, not your clothes, knowledge. Because if you leave them knowledge, it will forever go with them and they'll pass that down. But if you leave them property that they fight over, they'll find themselves not speaking to each other. They'll find themselves at disarray with each other because they fought over material things. They gained the whole world and they lost their soul or their connection. Having just a few hours to live, he regrets spending time being a people pleaser. It was as if he was a chameleon changing to the world wanted him to be. The people that he gave up his life for were nowhere to be found. Now that he was alone and that he had gone on to find, people found others to entertain, he realized, I'm by myself. And more time passed before, he was able to really come to say, I only have a few hours to live. I got to let it go. In closing, he said there's only 1 hour left, 60 minutes. And I was scared because the room was getting darker. The sound was getting more dim. And I don't know what to do. Am I prepared to die? Jim asked himself. And as the seconds of life began to tick in the last hours of my life, the truth that he discovered is that I have truly wasted 43 years of living, and now I'm facing the appointment with death. Money, houses, cars, and trying to make a name for myself are no longer as important as they once were because I have only minutes to live. It's too late. I ran out of time. But if you hear this message today, ask yourself a question. How long do I have left to live before my appointment with death? It might be years, might be months, even a few days, but don't make the same mistake that Jim made. Don't make the same mistakes that Carrie made years past, living for people. But I've learned to live for myself. Don't try to accomplish so much to the point that you don't accomplish the greatest feat, life. And enjoying it. I close with the word again of Mark 8:36, but I read it from the Amplified Bible or the Message Bible. What good would it do to get everything you want and lose you? The real you. What could you ever trade your soul for that is more important than your life? God, I thank you. I thank you for this real message. As we're listening and reminiscing of our own lives, God, we're not ready to die because we've been so consumed with appeasing people that whatever years you give left, whatever hours or days, whatever it may be that you give left, God, we want to live those being true to ourselves. dancing in the rain, laughing as loud as we can, smiling when there's nothing to smile about. Because we've now come to the understanding of that this is a road that very few find. It's called life. It's called self. It's called authenticity. And so, God, those that are watching right now, that this message has truly touched, I pray, I've got to give my whole heart and life to this message, that not just myself, but those that are listening will begin to take self-inventory and change and live life that is pleasing, not only to them, but also in your sight. For God, we're not charged to be people pleasers. We're charged to please you. And if we be authentic, if we do what you birthed us to do, our birthright, then you will be pleased, because we're living the life that you have predestined for us. And as long as you're pleased, God, and as long as we're happy, that's all that matters. I pray this message, God, finds a place in the heart of your hearers. I pray that this message, God, finds a place in the minds of those that will watch it in replay. I pray, God, that this message will open up the eyes of those who have been living their life for people. Bless the Abundant Life Nation. Bless those, God, that are watching from far and near. And this we pray. Amen. Wow. Guys, did that message bless you? Did that message really, really bless you? Take a moment and let me know. I'm going to go right now, and I'm going to sow put up a link where you can sow seeds. Wow, this message is powerful. Whew. Rachel said, open my hands to view my birthright. Yes, I hope you guys heard that. So I'm going to put a link up right now where you can sow a seed. All right, and I want you to go this morning. I hope this message will bless you. I'm over here just shaking and excited about what God is saying, because it's so powerful. You know, messages like this are not popular. They're not popular because, number one, it goes against some of the teachings, and it goes against some of the way people have been programmed, right? I'm just getting this link together, guys. And number two, it's not popular because it makes you stop and say, you know what, let me stop the foolishness and ask the question, am I really living? Because if I'm not really living, then that means I'm really dying. Because every day you wake up, guys, and I'm just putting this link up, every day that you wake up, you're closer to death. There's the link that I just posted if you want to sow seeds through the PayPal link, or if you want to go through the Cash App, you could do it. But I want you guys to understand that every day that you wake up, you're a day closer to death. And you have to take this message and really ask the question, if I was given only 2 weeks to live, all right, am I ready? Because it only takes an instant for your life to change, and to change forever. You can go out right now and say, I'm just going to go to the store and have an accident and can no longer walk. Your life is changed in an instant. You can walk outside and a straight bullet can hit you in your spine and paralyze you. You change in an instant. So today, I want you to stop. Open your hands and look at the birthright that God has given you. And stop asking for permission to live, and simply live. All right. So God bless you. The link up again for you to sow seeds if you would like. And I pray that you will write me. I pray this week that you write me and let me know how you're feeling, how you're doing. I pray this week that you take the moment and say, you know what, Carrie, I thank you for that message. So write me at hello@carrieapope.com. Again, HELLO@carrieapope.com. All right, guys. Again, bless you. Love you. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for always being true to what we're doing here at the Abundant Life Nation. It blesses me that you allow me to come into your house or to your home or to your heart and speak these words every week. And I don't take that for granted. I do not. All right. So listen, go back and watch this message, share it with somebody that you know, copy the link, send it to them, put it on your Facebook page, Instagram page, whatever page you may be a part of. But put that link on that page and share it so that others can hear this message and understand that we need to do some changing. All right, guys, God bless you. Love you much. Take care of yourself. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.